Female sports advocate Riley Gaines says she accepts the apology of Olympic gymnast Simone Biles after Biles criticized Gaines' looks during a social media debate over men and women's sports. Biles wrote in part, "I've always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are both essential in sport. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges, and it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. We all want a future for sport that is fair, inclusive, and respectful." Well, Gaines responded, "I accept Simone's apology for the personal attacks, including the ones where she body shamed me. Sports are inclusive by nature. Anyone can and everyone should play sports. Competition, on the other hand, and by definition, is exclusive. So the idea of competitive equity is nonsensical. Little girls deserve the same shot to achieve that you had."
But Simone Biles made an apology to Riley Gaines. Well, matter of fact, her ChatGPT account made an apology to Riley Gaines because I don't think she wrote this. And even if she did write it, she doubled down on stupidity. Let me read it to you. And then I'm like, who raising these people, man? Who raising Simone Biles, man? Like this is my thing. Some black people and others have opportunities to be revolutionary.
Yes.
They get a little bit of fame and then they stupid. They go stupid. they literally lose their mind. Let me read her apology to you. I'm gonna tell you how silly she is. She might as well not even wrote an apology. She literally doubled down on the stupidity that led her to have to make an apology. Let's go from the top. I wanted to follow up on my last tweets. I've always believed in competitive equity and inclusion, or I always believe competitive equity and inclusion are both essential in sports. What in the is competitive equity and inclusivity? What does that mean?
I don't know.
What does that even mean? Equity, inclusivity. Well, we already got male, female sports. What are we doing here? And there's no equity in sports because black people dominate majority of the sports that have to do with sprinting and athleticism. You're not crying about equity in that. Let me finish her statement. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges. And it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't have the answers or solutions to, but I believe it starts with empathy and respect. First and foremost, it's not complicated. Simone, it's not complicated, bruh. If you're a boy, you have a biological advantage over women in sports. So do not compete against women. It's not complicated. If you are a real person with a real heart and your parents raised you right, you should know that if you're trying to be a woman, you should be beating the brakes off women, discriminating against women, or creating unfair environments for women, whipping your wang out in a locker room in front of women. That's common sense. That's not complex. All right, let me finish where I leave off at. I was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. You weren't? You criticize her for the very thing you claim you're not opposing. She is saying it's unfair to force boys to compete against girls. And you're saying you're not advocating for policies of unfairness. Yes, you are. The fact that you would question what Riley Gaines is doing is already, creating an environment where you're pushing something that's unfair. Okay? My objection is to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Individual athletes, especially kids, should never be the focus of criticism of a flawed system they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. We all want a future for sport that is fair, inclusive, and respectful. What kids are you talking about? Riley didn't have, you claim that she mad because she lost. She actually tied. But if she did lose to the boy, then that's not a kid. Riley Gaines' whole argument is not about kids. And are you really trying to use word salads and language to project the 18-year-old as a kid? As if they're little children and kids. Is that what you're doing, Simone? Because I don't hear of little kids getting raked over the coals by biological men. Nobody sees little kids. We're not talking about little children. We're talking about the state championship in the state of California. I mean, Washington State, Oregon, California, high school championship. These are 17, 18-year-old people. What kids are you talking about? What criticism of children are we talking about?
Simone Biles, or maybe her PR team, have officially issued an apology to me. This is the tweet she put out. I'm not going to read it all, so you can pause to read, but let's go through the important parts. She says here she's always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are essential in sport. Here's my take on this. Sports are inclusive by nature because everyone can do them and everyone should play sports, in my opinion. Competition, on the other hand, by definition, is exclusive. So the idea of competitive equity is nonsensical and a total oxymoron. Here's where she apologizes. She says she was frustrated, things got heated, and it didn't help her to get personal with me. She then says these are complicated issues, which I disagree with. I would say actually it's a very simple issue with a very simple solution. She says here she wasn't advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports, but she criticized the people advocating for fairness in women's sports. So if she wasn't advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports, then what were you advocating for? Silence? Appeasement? For girls to just shut up and take it so long as a boy's feelings are validated? She goes on to say that highlighting these stories, or in my case, posting about them on X, are too personal and harmful. It is the boys who are publicly humiliating the girls. To suggest that women and girls must be quiet or ignore the boy that is publicly humiliating them is wrong. You cannot have empathy and compassion for the girls if you are ignoring the boy that is harming and humiliating them. She wraps it up by saying it's the sports organization's responsibility to come up with rules to support inclusion while maintaining fairness. And I do agree with her that our leaders need to be held accountable. Hence why I'm suing the NCAA. Hence why I was at the White House for Donald Trump's signing of his executive order regarding this issue. All this to say, I accept Simone's apology. I think it's a big win. I don't think we would have seen this even just a year ago, 2 years ago. So I accept the apology. And secondly, this response seems to insinuate that Simone does want fairness in women's sports. It's unclear if we have the same definition of what fairness means, but nonetheless, I welcome Simone Biles to join the fight for fairness and to support a future where female athletes, where little girls can dream and succeed and achieve just like Simone Biles had the chance to do.
And I ain't competing against no man. I'm not competing against no man. And Simone Biles, wrap it up. Who's paying you? Who's paying you? Wrap it up. Drop the axe.
I think that's a great question. Who's paying Simone Biles to do this? I don't think it's organic. I don't think it's genuine. I don't think it's coming from a place of truly caring about girls and girl competition and girl sports, because you would not want a biological man competing against girls. And I do think it's funny. Simone Biles she's not at the height of her career now. So I really do wonder, would she be making these claims when she was at the height of her career? Would she have been okay with competing against a biological man when she won all those wonderful Olympic medals? I just wonder, because now she seems to be on the downswing and now she's become an activist. Let me know what you think. Down in the comments, give me your comments. I'd love to hear it. I really do appreciate you for watching the video and for going ahead and subscribing if you haven't already, and helping us hit that goal of 50,000 subscribers. Thanks so much. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.